I have been involved with the theater since I was 14 years old. My first appearance on stage came in school. As the years went by, I took acting classes, was in my high school drama club, and in college, I took acting classes. I am still involved with community theater. Somewhere along the line, I started designing and building sets and directing shows instead of acting in them. I met my wife the same year I started acting. Her name was Donna Zachary. My name, incidentally, is Mark Abbott. Donna's family moved into the house next door to my family. Now, next door is a relative term. We did not live in a cookie-cutter neighborhood where the houses were right next to each other. Our closest neighbor was about 300 feet away. Our house had 5 bedrooms and 5.5 baths. Both families were, as they say, comfortable. The two families socialized together and became close. Very close. As a matter of fact, I think my father and Donna's mother were so close they were being intimate with each other. Anyway, after a couple of years, it was decided that Donna and I would be married when the time came. That was fine by me. Donna was very attractive. So over the years, she and I developed almost as close a friendship as her mother and my father. Well, actually, we did develop the same closeness they did, only we did it the night of our senior prom. Original? Number. But that's the way it happened. Throughout the years, she developed the same affection for the theater that I had. We were in several high school and college productions together. As a matter of fact, one of our favorite places to be intimate was a Pennsylvania State University theater. Since we lived in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Penn State seemed the logical choice. We dated and loved all through college. We both enjoyed college and we both experimented with other people, and we told each other about them. I knew that Donna enjoyed all things sexual. She was passionate and adventurous in our private moments. We tried that first on our wedding night, and it became a regular part of our love life. Like Donna, I enjoyed intimacy. Still do, as a matter of fact. During our senior year at college, we settled down. We had sown our wild oats, so to speak, and had decided that our parents were correct and that we should be married. On the night I formally proposed, we made a pact that henceforth and forevermore we would give ourselves only to each other. That worked out fine for 20 years, and then things went to hell. As you may have gathered, neither Donna nor I ever wanted for anything with, as I have already related, both of our families being comfortable. Her father inherited a substantial sum of money, and I never saw him work in his life, unless you call restoring antique autos work. My father, however, worked very hard for what we had. He owned several businesses, automobile parts stores, 5 of them, car washes, 3 of those, and fast food restaurants, 3 of those as well. They all made money, but the fast food restaurants were incredible money machines. They had both gotten their considerable fortunes in different ways, but they both had one thing in common. They never took anybody's word for anything. No handshake deals, ever. Virtually everything they did involved somebody's signature. When I was 16, my parents gave me a car. Well, actually, they loaned it to me. In order to drive it, I had to sign a document saying that the car belonged to my parents and they could reclaim it for any of the number of reasons listed on the form I had to sign. The last reason on the list was, the undersigned, me, agrees that the registered owner, my father, of herein described vehicle maintains the right to deny use of said vehicle at any time the registered owner feels that the undersigned either by actions or deeds no longer deserves the free and unrestricted use of the vehicle. I never lost the free and unrestricted use of the vehicle. It was a great deal for me, and all I had to do was keep my nose clean, which I did. I had 3 vehicles under that contract up until the time I graduated from college. Then my father gave me the one I was using at the time. All 3 vehicles were Ford pickup trucks. My senior class in high school was going to New York for our senior trip. I didn't want to miss the chance to see some real Broadway plays, but I was a bit short of cash, so I asked my father for a loan. He gave it to me, but only after I signed a contract saying that I would repay the loan by working in one of his businesses, the business and store to be determined by him, for the sum of $10 per hour in order to repay the loan. Further, it was stated in the contract that the loan payments would come directly out of my check and that subject payments would not exceed 50% of the net income for the pay period. As I said, both fathers, Donna's and mine, insisted on contracts for virtually everything they did, so a prenuptial agreement came as no surprise to either of us. The bottom line of the prenup said basically that if we divorced for any reason other than adultery, we both kept whatever we individually brought into the marriage and divided equally any and all assets acquired and/or accumulated during the course of the marriage. In the event of adultery, the offending party left the marriage with only that property or asset he or she brought into the marriage. Everything that had been acquired and/or accumulated during the marriage would be kept by the offended party. Sounded fair to both of us, and since we had already sown our wild oats and had vowed eternal fidelity to each other, we had no problem signing. And so it was written, and so it was done. Fast forward 20 years. Donna's father and mother were still alive, with him still restoring old cars and her mother still doing whatever the hell she wanted to. My parents had both died when the plane they were on plunged 39,000 feet into the Atlantic Ocean on its way to Paris. I was in the process of finalizing the liquidation of their estate. I had worked with my father since graduating from college and had basically taken over the fast food restaurants, of which there were now 8. Almost 2 years after we were married, Donna and I had twins. Our love life was never, and I mean never, less than outstanding. We made love like we meant it every time. With one exception, our college lives were never discussed. The one exception was that I loved to hear her talk about her lesbian liaisons, and I never had any reason to believe that she had ever been less than completely and totally faithful. Until that day. Throughout our married life, both of us had continued our love for the theater. We took many trips to New York to see Broadway shows. Our twins, Samantha Sammy and Samuel Sam, were now 17 and a half years old and knew Times Square almost as well as they knew their own neighborhood. They had taken acting lessons, dance lessons, and singing lessons from the time they were 3 and were both accomplished in the 3 arts. They had appeared on stage in many of our local productions and in their high school ones as well. Donna and I had both stopped acting but were still active. We had 3 community theaters in our area and one organization that brought in professional equity union members, actors from New York and Chicago, to do their shows. The professional group would supplement their cast with non-professional, non-equity member actors from the 3 local groups when necessary. All 4 of us were able to work with the professionals on several different occasions. As I said, both Donna and I had stopped acting but were still active. For the last several years, I have been directing some of our shows. That was more fun than acting. She was the president of the board of one of the groups. I was on the board of another. The bylaws of all 3 groups said that family members were not permitted to sit on their boards at the same time. The group she was president of was my favorite, and I spent a lot of time working on sets and taking care of their buildings and grounds. Over the last several months, we had some problems with local kids breaking into our building. They never really caused any damage, but they did steal some of our tools. And once they stole our lawnmower. The local police told us frankly that minor crimes like this were rarely investigated unless we knew who was actually committing the crime. They had few resources and could not use them on small stuff. The board decided to be proactive and try to assist the police, so they bought 6 motion detection audio and video cameras for installation in and around the building. Donna asked me to install them. I said I would the first chance I got. She said to please let her know as soon as I did it so she could report it to the board. It was on a Wednesday. My attorney and I had just left the courthouse. My parents' estate was settled, and I was a wealthy, comfortable, healthy, and relatively young 43-year-old with a loving wife and 2 fantastic kids. I was on my way home but decided to stop by the theater and install the cameras. I put 2 of them outside the theater itself, one aimed at the front door and the other at the stage door. I also installed one inside looking at the box office. Our workshop was a separate building with only one entrance. I put one aimed at the door. Another was inside, aimed at the workshop where our tools were. The last was in the props room where our stage furniture and props were stored. I tied them all into the computer in the theater office. And just in case that computer was stolen, I added a link to my laptop since I had taken it with me to the attorney's office. Any movement in or around the theater or workshop would set off an alert on both the theater computer and my laptop. Then I went home. I was going to tell Donna about it that evening, but the news about the final adjudication of my parents' estate took priority, and the entire evening was spent talking about a big new house, plus one in Vail so we could go skiing, something we had never done. We also discussed a luxury motorhome, world travel, donations, new cars, etc. By bedtime, we were all exhausted, and the theater cameras were forgotten. And so it went until Friday, just 2 days later. It was shortly after 7 in the evening, and my laptop beeped. I had no idea what it was, so I looked and saw the motion detector at the theater had gone off. I opened the link and found that the camera outside the workshop had been activated. It showed 2 young men breaking into the building. I was ready to call the police but wanted to get better pictures of their faces for positive identification later and to see if we could actually see them take something out of the building. They looked around for about 10 minutes, seeming in no hurry. I could hear their conversation and learned that they had, in fact, been there before and were hoping that this time something of value was there for them to sell. They commented on the fact that all of our tools were engraved so we could identify them, so trying to sell them was useless. They went to the refrigerator and helped themselves to a couple of soft drinks. Just then I saw them jump up and look at the door. Then, without a word, they ran into the props room and hid behind a china cabinet someone had donated to us. Then I watched as Donna, my loving wife of 20 years, entered. She was being pushed by John Xavier Neal, a member of the theater board, a sleazy, greasy type who was always cast in our plays as a philandering, no-good lowlife. In the theater, we call it typecasting. "Hurry up, I'm ready for intimacy." "So am I," said my wife. "God, it seems like forever." She took his hand and led him to the props room. He was torn between trying to lift her skirt to reach her lower back and unbuttoning his own shirt, all with one hand since she was holding the other. "A week can seem like forever when you're excited." "It's okay, sweetie," she said. "I'll take care of those horns." By now, they were beside one of the sofas in the props room. It appeared that they had been there before because he went to the cabinet where the sheets and blankets were while she started taking her clothes off. "Forget those," she said. "Get over here." He hurriedly spread a sheet on the sofa and pushed her on it. At that moment, she was nearly undressed, and he aggressively removed the rest. I watched as Jerk literally tore both of them off of her. She was now naked. Their 2 observers heard it as well. "God damn!" said one of the young men from behind the china cabinet. "Oh my God," said Donna. "What was that?" "What was what?" said Sleazeball. "I heard someone," she replied. "Nonsense. There's nobody here." "Don't bet on it, Pops," said one of the intruders. Sleazeball jumped up. The boys stepped out. "That was some show. How about we get some action as well?" one of the intruders said. "Damn you," said Donna. "Wrong, Mama. It's us that's gonna try you. Right now." "Go to hell," she said as she started to get dressed. "Listen, woman. Either we made love with you right now, or these pictures go on every telephone pole and every internet site we can find. You listening?" he said as they both held up their cell phones. "Oh my God, you wouldn't." "Oh, we will, unless you take care of both of us the same way you did with your lover." "John, do something. Please," she pleaded. "And just what do you expect me to do?" said John Xavier Neal. "That guy ain't stopping no one." "No way he won't. He's so scared right now he can barely stand up for himself. But hey, maybe she actually likes weak men. Now look, fellas, I really can't afford to be caught up in something like this. My wife would kill me," said John Xavier Neal. "Oh no. If he's married, that means she is too." "All right then. Now I know we've got leverage. Because you can't afford to get caught either. Oh, God. Number, please, Donna said as both boys started taking off their clothes. But pleading didn't help. She was trapped between two strangers, completely at their mercy. The jerk couldn't stand it anymore, so he decided to jump in and be part of it. God, I was sick. When I first saw her and the jerk enter the building, my first instinct was to call the police. I was afraid for her. But as she started with the jerk, curiosity took over, and by the time Dwayne and his buddy joined in the fun, I was so sick I didn't care what happened to her. I was absolutely disgusted. I sat there pondering what to do next. I didn't make it to the bathroom. I threw up in the hallway. I knelt there on my knees, looked at my vomit, caught a whiff of it, and threw up again. After a few minutes, I managed to clean it up. Then I threw up again, this time with my head in the commode. I went back to turn off my computer. I couldn't take any more. Actually, threw up doesn't quite describe what I did. After the first 3 times, there was nothing left to come up, so I dry heaved the last 2 times. I sat and for 2 hours tried to figure out what to do. My first thought was to kick her out of the house. Then I decided to forgive her. After all, she had been loyal for 20 years. Or had she? Back to kicking her out. What do I do about the twins? Okay, I'll forgive her. But she humiliated me and seemed to like it. Kick her out. An hour later, I was still going back and forth about what I was going to do when I heard the door to the garage open and she walked in with a huge smile on her face. "Hi, sweetie. How was your day?" she said as she came over and tried to kiss me. I don't know if I actually smelled poop on her breath or if I imagined it, but in that instant, I made up my mind. "You have 1 hour to get your stuff and get out of this house," I roared. "What are you talking about? 1 hour. Don't be here when I get back, and I never want to see or talk to you again, you unfaithful spouse. 1 hour." And I left. 2 hours later, I returned home. I went to the bedroom and saw that some of her things were gone. I sat on the bed and cried. After about 15 minutes, I looked up to see the twins standing in the doorway. "What did you do to Mom?" asked Sammy. "That's between your mother and me. She said you kicked her out of the house. Is that right?" "I told you it is between your mother and me." "The hell it is. It involves us too. This is our family. She said she came home and you told her to get out. We want to know why." "That is none of your business. Period. End of discussion." "We have a right to know, Dad." "Get out of my room." "It's Mom's room too." "Not anymore. Now get out and leave me alone." "Oh, we'll leave you alone, all right. We'll be with Mom. We want you to know that we think what you did is bad. We think that you are a grade A jerk and we want nothing more to do with you. From now on, we don't have anything to say to you and nothing you say is of any interest to us. You are out of our lives completely." "Wait just a minute, young lady," I said, standing up. "Who do you think you are talking to me like that?" "Who am I?" "I'm the girl who used to be your daughter but found out what a total jerk you really are and no longer want anything to do with you." She walked toward her room. "What about you, Sam?" I questioned. "Forget you, Dad. What you did to Mom was the most despicable and unimaginable thing I could ever think of. I never want to see you again." And he went toward his room. I was sitting downstairs when they came down. They each had a suitcase and some clothes on hangers as they headed for the door. "Are you sure you want to do this?" I asked. "Like Sam said upstairs, forget you." And they were gone. It took me about 30 seconds to decide my next course of action. I thought I knew the first place the 3 of them would go. I went online and found the business I was looking for and called them. Then I called the bank. 2 hours later, 2 trucks pulled up in front of Donna's parents' house. One of the drivers rang the doorbell. Sammy opened the door. "We're from Keystone Recovery and we're here to recover those 2 Mustangs sitting out front." "What are you talking about?" "The registered owner of those cars has asked us to recover them. He also asked us to give Samantha and Samuel Abbott copies of these contracts. Have a nice day." As he was talking to Sammy, the other driver had been loading the Mustangs on the backs of the trucks. They had done it so often that it took only seconds to load both cars. I had given them the spare keys just in case the other keys weren't available for some reason. The first driver returned to his truck and they drove off. By this time, Sam, Donna, and her mother were standing looking at the contracts the twins had signed on their 16th birthday when I gave them the cars. "Thank you, Dad." Just a few short minutes later, my phone rang. It was Donna. "I told you I never wanted to talk to you again." I pressed end call. The phone rang again. It was Sammy. As you may have guessed by now, she did the majority of the talking when it came to the twins. "Hello. Is it possible that a bigger jerk than you exists? I was seeing a side of my children I never dreamed existed." "Hey, young lady, don't blame me. I'm just helping you do what you want done." "What are you talking about?" she asked. 2 hours ago, you said that you and your brother wanted nothing more to do with me, so I'm helping you accomplish that goal. By taking my cars back, I'm making your break from me much easier. I thought it might be less for you guys to have to do. You should be thanking me instead of calling me a jerk. Oh, and by the way, I canceled your credit cards." "Damn, you jerk!" And the phone went dead. Yes, sir. A side of my children I never dreamed existed. A really ugly side. But then they are probably thinking the same about me. It goes without saying that I filed for divorce. Donna tried several more times to talk to me, but I hung up each time. Neither she nor the twins came by the house for more of their stuff. I went to the theater one more time to erase Donna's little love fest video. I didn't erase the copy on my laptop. After that, I never went back to that theater. 3 weeks later, we had a meeting. Donna, our attorney, and me. I was surprised to see the twins there as well. I didn't want them there, and since they were under 18, I could have prevented it. But after thinking about it, I figured it was about time. The meeting began with her attorney saying that Donna didn't want the divorce and that the reason given for the divorce, adultery, was untrue. The look on the twins' faces told me that Donna had not told them the reason for the divorce. My attorney basically stopped him and said, "Let's cut to the chase. Let's watch this video." And he started the video the cameras at the theater had recorded. "No, God, no, stop it, screamed Donna. She looked at me. "How did you get that?" I said nothing. I had told her I never wanted to talk to her, and I didn't. The twins looked at each other and walked out of the room. I said to her attorney, "If your client signs these documents in the next 10 minutes, she can come to my house and get the rest of her stuff, including the jewelry she left in the safe. The house will be open between 5 and 7 this evening. But according to the prenup, she gets nothing else. Period. And don't give me that thing about the video not being admissible in court. You and I both know that it is admissible. It was filmed on theater property which is accessed by many people, and nobody has a reasonable expectation of privacy like they do in a private residence." I got up and left. I walked out of the conference room and out of the office complex, headed for the elevator. The twins were standing there waiting for me. "Oh my God, Dad. We are so sorry. We had no idea." I held up my hand to stop her. "From now on, we don't have anything to say to you, and nothing you say is of any interest to us. You are out of our lives completely. That's what you said a few weeks ago without knowing my side of the situation, and as far as I am concerned, it now goes for me as well." And I turned to go down the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. "And as far as you calling me Dad, you gave up that right. If I were you, and given our recent insight into your mother's behavior, I would find out from her who your biological father is. I know it can't be me, because no children of mine could possibly condemn someone without at least hearing their side of the story. The house will be open between 5 and 7 this evening for you to get the rest of your belongings. You can have anything in the house. Anything left after 7 will go to charity. You might want to bring a truck and some help. Just don't bring any of your mother's lovers." I walked down the stairs and out of the building. I had just left the parking lot when I received a call from my attorney. I pulled to the curb to take the call. The papers were signed. My marriage was over. I sat in my truck and cried. That evening at 5, the twins showed up. I saw them look at the for sale sign on the lawn. I let them in the house, and as usual, Sammy tried to speak for both of them. I held up my hand to stop her. "Not a word. Just get your stuff and leave." She again started to speak. I stopped her with, "One word and you leave here with nothing." Then I went into what had been my office and closed the door. I heard them leave about 20 minutes later. Shortly after they left, the doorbell rang. I went to the door and opened it. My father-in-law stood there. Donna stood behind him. "May we come in?" "Of course." "Donna, go get your belongings. I'll talk to Mark." She went upstairs. "How are you doing?" he asked. "Not too good." "And you?" I asked. "Not too good either. The twins told us what happened at the attorney's office. They were pretty shaken up, especially when you told them to find out who their biological father was." I just stood there. We didn't know about Donna. When she got home today, her mother kicked her out of the house. The twins can stay if they want, but Donna has to be gone by tomorrow. I just stood there. "The twins are sorry about the way they treated you. Maybe you should forgive them and give them another chance." "I don't think my relationship with them is any of your business, but I know you are just trying to help. They were willing to throw me under the bus before they knew the whole story. There was no forgiveness, even though there was nothing to forgive. They treated me like some jerk. I will not easily forget or forgive that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. Give my best to Mom. I have always loved and respected you both. I hope you know that." I went back into my office. I heard them leave. Fast forward 5 years. I had not heard from either Donna or the twins. I had sold the house, packed my truck, and headed south. 4 months after leaving Pennsylvania, I woke up in Key West, Florida. Needless to say, I was not in need of money. As a matter of fact, I had no intention of working for a living ever again. I was playing tourist my first day there and was walking down one of the downtown streets and almost walked past a small community theater. I stopped and decided to look around. The front door was locked, so I walked around to the rear. Some folks were working in the shop. I introduced myself and started chatting. Before I knew it, I had a cordless drill in my hand and was helping build a set. Just like most people involved in community theater, they were all volunteers and had other jobs, so around noon they all started to leave. "Can you come back tomorrow?" asked the guy who appeared to be in charge. "Sure. What time?" 8. "We'll have coffee ready." The next morning, I showed up at 8 with a dozen donuts. I have been here since. In these 5 years, I bought a house within walking distance of the theater. I am a member of the board of directors and have been in a few plays and have directed 3. As a matter of fact, I was working on the set of the next play I was directing when I heard it. "Dad?" I froze. "Daddy? Is that you?" I didn't have to look. I knew who it was. I put my drill down and turned to face her. "How did you find me?" More importantly, why? "We were walking down the street and I saw a poster advertising your play and I saw your name." "What do you want, Samantha?" "Can we talk for a while?" Long pause. "Please?" I stood there. "Go ahead. Talk." "Sam and I treated you terribly. We had no right to, and you didn't deserve it. Not one day has gone by in the last 5 years that we haven't regretted it. We tried for a year to find you. Grandpa helped us get an investigator, and we were able to follow you for the first 3 months. We knew when you were in Charleston, but then we lost you. Dad, we are so sorry. We love you and miss you and want very much to be back in your life." Charleston was where I decided to stop using credit cards and use only cash. I haven't used a credit card since. "By the way," she said with a smile, "you are our father. We did a DNA test." "How did you do that without my DNA?" I asked. "We had it. Do you remember the box that had all of your baby teeth? As Sam and I recall the story, your mother saved all of your teeth whenever they either fell out or were pulled, and she put them in a small box. You had your teeth in one side, and Sam and I put ours in the other side. We had them tested, and whether you like it or not, you're our father. But more importantly, You're our daddy." I had to smile. Just then we heard a boat whistle. Key West is a big port of call for cruise ships. "Oh, hell, I have to go." "Are you on that ship?" she asked. "Yes. Some of my sorority sisters and I decided to take a cruise as our graduation present to ourselves. I graduated from Penn State last month." "Good for you." She asked me to walk part way with her. I locked the theater door and we walked toward the harbor. You may not want to hear this, but Sam and I rarely talk to Mom. We see her at Grandma and Grandpa's every once in a while. They don't like for her to come around, but they won't let her and her child go hungry or homeless. "Child?" I asked. One of the men she had intimacy with that day made her pregnant. I shrugged. I couldn't care less. I had a fleeting thought about her being too old, but I guess she wasn't. "You have a granddaughter. Sam got married last year and they had a baby 2 months ago. Her name is Marky Elizabeth. They named her after you. I just happened to have some pictures of her. She had 2 of them and she took them out to show me. She handed them to me, but I turned my head away and didn't look at them." "Don't you want to see her?" she asked. "No. Neither you nor Sam have any idea how devastated I was when you told me you wanted me out of your lives. I had invested all the love and emotion I had in my family, and in one day it was swept away. In your mother's case, it was probably long-term. Apparently, she had been cheating for some time. But you and Sam seemed to be able to cast me aside so casually and with so little effort that I was stunned. Now you are here saying that you are sorry and want me back in your lives. I don't know that I have the emotional strength to do that. What if I do something to make you mad again? Would you do the same thing? I don't know that I'm willing or able to go through it. It's the same thing with his daughter. If I look at her picture and start to develop an emotional attachment, he can, on a whim, take her out of my life. Why would I put myself through that? Daddy, all we can do is tell you how sorry we are and ask. No, not ask, beg for a chance to try to make it up to you. By this time, we were at the entrance to the cruise terminal. We stopped. "Well, I have to go." She touched my arm and moved as if to hug me. I tensed and backed away. She looked at me and tears started forming in her eyes as she turned and walked through the gate. I watched her leave. She turned back to me. "We love you, Daddy." And she was gone. Damn. I must have said it 1,000 times on my way back to the theater. I came close to being a pedestrian fatality at least 3 times because I wasn't paying any attention to what I was doing. She was wrong about one thing. It hasn't been 5 years. It's been 5 years, 4 months, and 18 days. Now what do? They know where I am. Do I leave and go someplace else? Hell no. This is my home. Tomorrow I will call and reactivate my credit cards. As soon as Sammy was back on board her ship, she took out her phone and called Sam. "Hi, sis. Seasick yet?" "No. Clever guy, and you'll never guess who I have spent the last half hour with." "Do I really care?" he asked. "In this case, I think so." It was Dad. A long silence. "Are you there?" "I'm here. Is he okay?" "He seems to be. He's still very bitter." "Did you tell him how sorry we are?" "Yes, a couple of times. I told him about Marky and tried to show him her picture, but he wouldn't look at it." And she went on to explain to Sam their father's rationale. "Christ?" "Yeah. I also told him about Mom." "Oh my gosh, how did he take that?" "I got the impression that he couldn't care less. I don't blame him for that." "Okay, I have to go. We're getting ready to sail. See you in a few days." "Okay, love you." "Love you too." 5 weeks after arriving home, Sammy received a telephone call. "Hello? This is Detective Brian with the Key West, Florida Police Department. I'm trying to locate Samantha Abbott." "I'm Samantha Abbott." "Miss Abbott, do you know a Mark Abbott here in Key West?" "That's my father's name and he lives there. Why?" "Miss Abbott, Your father has had a stroke and is in the hospital here. Oh my God, how bad is it? You will have to talk to his doctor, Miss Abbott. I'm not at liberty to discuss medical information. I would advise, however, that you get here as soon as you can. Thank you, Detective. When you arrive, ask the hospital staff to contact me, please. I will. Thank you. 12 hours later, she and Sam were talking to the attending physician and nurse outside their father's room. The stroke occurred 2 weeks ago. It was opening night of the show he was directing. After the show, he and his cast and crew were celebrating at a local watering hole. We can't really assess the damage because he has been in a coma since he was brought in. We know there has been some physical damage, but we have no idea about possible neurological damage because he can't communicate with us. And from a medical perspective, there appears no reason for him to be in a coma. Frankly, we just don't understand. You should know also that he has not been alone since he was brought in. There is always someone from the theater with him. There is someone in there now. Do you know why it took so long for us to be notified? I'm not positive, but I don't think anybody knew you existed until a couple of days ago. Well, thank you, Doctor. May we see him now? Of course. Nurse Johnstone and I will be with you. They entered the room. A young man was sitting reading aloud from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, a favorite of Mark's. He stopped and stood when the four entered the room. Hi, I understand you are his children. I want you to know that this whole city loves your father. He almost single-handedly saved our theater. You are lucky to have him. Thank you, said Sammy. The young man left. Sam went to one side of the bed, Sammy the other. Together they reached for their father's hands. As soon as the three touched, Mark's eyes started to flutter. Then they opened. Nurse Johnstone grabbed the doctor and gasped. Oh my God, look, doctor. She started to go to Mark. The doctor stopped her. Let's just watch, he said. Mark's eyes were now fully opened. He looked at Sam and then at Sammy. What happened? His speech was slow and labored. You had a stroke. When? He asked. 2 weeks ago. Prognosis? The doctor stepped up and spoke. As far as we can tell, you should fully recover, but we still have some tests to run. And now that you are awake, we can run them. He and Nurse Johnstone left. How long have you been here? We just arrived. How do you feel? Not sure. The three of them just looked at each other. Each wanted to speak, but couldn't. Mark drifted in and out of consciousness. The nursing staff was in and out of the room doing their thing, and another person from the theater stopped by. After several hours, the twins were ready to find a hotel and get some rest. Mark was awake. Daddy, we have to leave for a while. We need to find a hotel and get some rest. We'll be back in the morning. Mark looked around the room. Wear pants. Still laboring to speak. What did you say? Where are my pants? He asked. They looked and found them in the small closet. Sam handed them to Mark. He had trouble controlling his arm. Frustrated, he said, Wallet. Keys. Sam took Mark's keys and wallet and handed them to Mark. Mark shook his head. For you. Stay my house. Money, car, cards, you use. No hotel. They understood. Sammy leaned down to kiss him on the forehead as they left. Sam stroked his arm. They all smiled. Downstairs in the lobby, they looked through his wallet. His address was on his driver's license, so they grabbed a cab and went there. They used his keys to get in. They put their suitcases down and looked around their father's house. Sammy went to the kitchen. Sam walked over to his desk. Sammy, come here. What is it? He indicated the desk. On it were pictures of the two of them. Lots of pictures. Pictures of their high school graduation. He had to have been there to take them. There were pictures of Sam's wedding and even a couple of Marky in the maternity ward. There were pictures of their college graduation. Oh my God, I can't believe it. He was there. Sam, he was there. They stood there amazed. For all of his talk about emotional involvement, he had never really separated himself from them. They didn't know whether to cry for joy or cuss the son of a blip for allowing them to suffer these past 5 years. They fixed themselves drinks and looked around the rest of the house. There was nothing special there and no signs of a girlfriend. They went outside and walked around. In the back was a garage. Inside, they saw 3 cars, a relatively new Mercedes 550 sedan. It was the other 2 cars which brought tears to their eyes. There sat 2 Mustangs, one silver and one yellow. "Oh, hell, Sammy, he kept our cars." Jesus Christ, they look brand new. They spent that night in their father's house. The next morning, they were in his room. Mark was feeling much better. "Sam has to leave today. He has to get back." His speech had improved considerably. "Sam, I'm glad you were able to come. It's good to see both of you. I'm sorry to have been a complete horse's back. It took a stroke for me to realize it. We'll make up for lost time if you let us, won't we, Sammy?" "You bet your back we will. Starting right now." And she leaned over her father and kissed him. She spent the next 3 weeks with him. When he was released from the hospital, she made sure that he had 24-hour care. She needn't have bothered. There always seemed to be someone from the theater in the house. The young man she had seen that first day in the hospital was right. This city did love her father, but she too had to leave. Mark was greatly improved and she had responsibilities at home. The parting at the airport was sad. They both cried. He kept apologizing for having been a jerk all this time, but he vowed to make things better. She stood in line to go through security, but she couldn't keep her eyes off of her father. Finally, she was gone, and Mark walked out of the terminal building. He almost made it to his car before turning around and went straight to the ticket counter. "When does the next plane leave for Harrisburg, Pennsylvania?" And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.